Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. That's Goswami, who is the guru of Narottam Das Thakur. There's not very much known about him, so this won't be very long. And then afterwards I'll speak on Kolavecha Sridhar. There's not very much known about Lokanath Goswami, even though he was the first of the devotees that Lord Chaitanya sent to Vrindavan. Oh, wait a minute, it's supposed to be line by line, isn't it? Because once I start reading this, and I have to look and see. Yeah, there's not much known about Lokanath Goswami, even though he is the first of the devotees who Lord Chaitanya sent to Vrindavan. It is said that when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami came to him to beg blessings for compilation of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami did, he went to all the devotees in Vrindavan to get their blessings. So it said that when he went to see Lokanath Goswami gave his blessings with one condition, that you don't write anything about me. So that's what they say. Lokanath Goswami was born in a village called Talkari, which is presently in the Jashore district of Bangladesh. His father's name was Padmanabha Bhattacharya. His mother's name was Sita Devi, and he was the first of two sons. His younger brother was called Pragalbha Bhattacharya. So from the very beginning of his life, Lokanath, he had no interest in material life. He was never in the slightest bit interested in getting married or settling down. At a young age, he left home and went to Navadvip to see Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he got there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, go to Vrindavan, go soon. So Lokanath Goswami wasn't very happy, because he had a feeling that within a few days Lord Chaitanya would take sannyas. He had the feeling. So he thought, if he takes sannyas, then how will I see him again? Because generally sannyasis, they wander to different holy places. One reason is that so their family members won't find them. Just like Lord Chaitanya's older brother Vishvarup, he left home and then nothing. He took sannyas and then nothing was ever heard of him. So Lokanath Goswami was not very happy at being sent away, but Lord Chaitanya told him that I will see you again in Vrindavan. Just stay there and I'll see you there. So Lokanath Goswami, he left Navadvip and visiting different holy places, he eventually reached to Vrindavan. But shortly after reaching there, he heard that Lord Chaitanya had taken sannyas and was traveling in South India. So Lokanath Goswami thought, let me go and find him and join him. So those days, to go from Vrindavan to South India meant by walking, especially sannyasi. He couldn't even go on a bullock cart. He must walk only. So to find him, even to find Lord Chaitanya, there wasn't much chance. But anyway, he went. But after going all the way down to South India, after going there, Lokanath Goswami got the information that Lord Chaitanya already finished going on his tour of South India, and now he went to Vrindavan. So Lokanath Goswami walked all the way back to Vrindavan. It takes many days. But then he heard that Lord Chaitanya had already left and gone to Prayag. So he was feeling too much disappointment. So he decided the next day I'll leave Vrindavan and set out for Prayag. But in that night, Lord Chaitanya came to him in a dream and told him, just stay in Vrindavan. So Lokanath Goswami could not break the order of Lord Chaitanya, and he started to live in Vrindavan in an unobserved way, unobtrusively. He was staying in different forests, moving in the different forests of Vrindavan. Gradually, on the order of Lord Chaitanya, other devotees came to Vrindavan. Rup, Sanatan, Bhugarva Goswami, and other Goswamis. And Lokanath, who already knew the area quite well, having stayed there some time, would show them all the different places. But especially Lokanath was respected by the Goswamis and the devotees who were coming to Vrindavan, because he was very senior and experienced, having been there longer than everyone else. Then, after traveling for some time in different parts of the Vrindavan forests, Lokanath Goswami settled in one village called Umrao, which is close to Chhatravan. And for some days he was living there on the bank of Kishori Kund. So he had a very strong desire to serve deities. So one day what happened, someone who had never seen before came up to him with the deities of Radha Krishna and said, "These deities' names are Radha Vinod. Take them and worship them." So Lokanath was astonished that all of a sudden he had the deities of Radha Vinod. When he looked up to see that unknown person who had given him those deities, he could no longer see him. He had disappeared. So he was thinking very deeply what is going on. Then Radha Vinod laughingly said to him that, "Who can bring me to you? I have come myself. I live in this forest here, in this Kishori Kunda. Now, why don't you feed me something?" The Lokanath Goswami was very happy and got together some different items for cooking and offered to Krishna. Then he made a bed of flowers and laid his deities down to rest. And with the large leaf, he fanned the deities and massaged their lotus feet, offering his body, mind and very life to the service of the deities, drinking through his eyes the nectar of their beautiful form. So the villagers there, they said, "We'll build one cottage for you, Bhajan Kuti." But Lokanath, he always refused, no. So now he had the deities, and still he didn't want to have any place to stay. So he used to keep them in a bag around his neck. When he wasn't worshipping them, he would take them with him wherever he went. His only disciple was Narottam Das Thakur. That's the only known disciple. He probably didn't have any other one. When Narottam came to Vrindavan, he was sent by Jiva Goswami to serve Lokanath Goswami. This time Lokanath Goswami was very old. But Lokanath Goswami refused. He said, "I don't want anyone serving me." He said, "I can't serve Krishna properly, so why should I have anyone serving me?" So Narottam Das started serving Lokanath Goswami without being seen. He would rise very early in the morning and clean the place where Lokanath would take his bath. And after Lokanath answered the call of nature, he would clean up the place from stool and urine. So this went on for a few years. And finally Lokanath, recognizing who was doing this service, agreed to initiate him. Lokanath Goswami lived up to a very old age in Kadirvan, in a village called Khaira. And he, even after the passing away of Rupa Goswami, he was still living there. And his samadhi is there, on the bank of Jugal Kund. Narottam Das has written many songs in which he is calling out for the mercy of his guru Lokanath Goswami. Yeah. Every day we sing in Lokanath Lokera Jivan. This refers to Lokanath Goswami. Narottam Das has compiled this song. Here, there's one song given here which is a prayer by Narottam Das to Lokanath Goswami. Aha Prabhu Lokanath Rako Pada Dande. My master Lokanath Goswami, please give me your 2 lotus feet. Kripa drishti chaho jadi hoya anande. If you are pleased with me, please give me the glance of your mercy. Manovancha siddhi tabe hong purna trishna. Hitai chaitanya mile sheta radha Krishna. Says that if you are merciful to me, then the desired success for which I am very eager will become fulfilled. and then I will attain to Lord Chaitanya, and through him to Radha and Krishna. Tumina korile doya ke koribeya. If you are not merciful to me, who will be? Mone bashana purna koro eba. Kindly this time fulfill my mind's desire. 18 Shangshare mor ar kehonai. In all these three worlds I have no one but you. Kripa kori nija pada tole deho thai. Please give me a place in the soles of your lotus feet.
In the soul?
Soul means the lower portion.
Uh-huh.
Radha Krishna Lila Gun Gang Ratri Dine Narotam Bancha Purna Nahe Tu Abhina. Narottam Das says that I'm singing the praises of Radha Krishna's Leela and qualities day and night. But without you, Lokanath, my spiritual desires cannot be fulfilled. And now I'll speak about, there's another short one. Another short one. Kasisvara Goswami. Kasisvara Goswami was a disciple of Ishvarapuri and therefore a godbrother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kasisvara Puri, along with another godbrother, Govinda, was engaged in the service of Ishvarapuri. In their youth, they were engaged in his service. At the time of his passing away, Ishvarapuri instructed Kasisvara and Govinda that you go and serve Lord Chaitanya. So, when Lord Chaitanya heard this, he respected his godbrothers, and he didn't want them to serve him, but because it was his Guru's order that they should serve him, therefore he accepted their service. Kasisvara Goswami's service was that when Lord Chaitanya went to the temple, he would go in front of him and clear the crowds away so that Mahaprabhu could walk without being obstructed, because he was very big and strongly built. And also, after the devotees engaged in Sankirtan, he would help in distributing the prasad to all the devotees. Every evening, Lord Chaitanya would have Sankirtan when he was staying in Puri for at least 4 hours. And many devotees came and joined him, many pilgrims also, they would join. And many demigods and inhabitants of other planets, from the inhabitants of the snakes, from the inhabitants of the planets of the snakes, the Charanas, Siddhas, Apsara, so many of them came in disguise as pilgrims to join Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan. Yeah. And Prataparudra Maharaj, he had an order that however much prasad Lord Chaitanya's men want, give it to them. So everyone was very satisfied. They chanted and danced in ecstasy for 4 hours and then took prasad to their full satisfaction. And Kasisvara Pandit was one of the distributors of that prasad. What happened when Rup Goswami started the worship of Govinda in Vrindavan? Lord Chaitanya wanted to send Kasisvara Goswami there to help him, but Kasisvara was not at all inclined to go. He didn't want to give up the association of Lord Chaitanya. So at this time, Lord Chaitanya manifested a deity of himself, and when Lord Chaitanya was taking prasad, he put that deity just beside him, and so himself as the deity were both taking prasad together. And then he gave this deity to Kasisvara and said, "He is me. This deity's name is Gaura Govinda, so you can serve me in this form." So that deity is still there, along with the Radha Krishna deities who were served by Kasisvara Goswami. And I'm just, Radha Govinda. His names are Radha Govinda. I'm just trying to see. Gaur-Ganodesh Deepika says that 2 servants of Krishna in Vrindavan Leela, named Bringa and Bhangur, their job was to bring water, because they didn't. That was bringing water from the river. That was their job. They served Krishna in this way. So they became Kasisvara Goswami and Govinda. All right, now we'll read about Kolavecha Sridhar, who was previously in Krishna Lila, Sudama Vipra, who was very poor, but he served Krishna happily in his poverty. So similarly, Kolavecha Sridhar was poor, but he served Lord Chaitanya happily. He made his living by selling banana leaves for eating from, and tor, which tor means the banana tree. The inside of the banana tree is made into a vegetable, and mocha, which is banana flowers, which is also made into a vegetable. Now, who's been to Bengal? So there are a lot of banana trees there, right? You wouldn't expect you'd make much of a living out of selling bananas, because everyone has banana trees. Even if they just grow anyway. Even if you don't plant them. So you're not going to become very rich by selling bananas. Anyway, Kolavecha Sridhar, he was living at the edge of Mayapur, and he sold principally bananas, but also vegetables and different things. So he was living. That place is now Bamanpukur, and he was a great devotee of the Ganga. Whatever little money he made, he would keep 50% for maintaining his family expenses, and 50% he would use for worshipping the Ganga. And his practice was that at night he would stay up all night calling out very loudly the names of Hari. So the non-devotee Hindus, they used to criticize him like anything. They used to say that this man, he can't fill his belly, he doesn't have enough food, so he stays up all night crying. But Sridhar didn't care for them at all. He just went on with his chanting. He was a very truthful and honest kind of person. Whatever price he told for his goods, he sold. He didn't bargain with people. He just wanted to live a simple life, and whatever money he got, he would, by the grace of God, he would accept it and use that to worship God. He didn't talk much with anybody about anything. And he used to sell his goods at a reasonable price. There was no... Now, Lord Chaitanya's mother, Shachi Devi, used to send Lord Chaitanya for purchasing vegetables. And every day he used to come to Sridhar and purchase from him. And Lord Chaitanya took pleasure in teasing him like anything. Because Sridhar used to give the price, this is the price, he used to give a fair price. But the usual system is that people will bargain when they're buying vegetables. So whatever price Sridhar said, Lord Chaitanya would offer him half. And sometimes he would take them and just hold them and say, no, you're cheating, I won't pay such a high price. So then Sridhar would get up and try to grab the vegetables back from him. But Lord Chaitanya would not let them go. So then they would be pulling and struggling and shouting, and a crowd of people would come around to see what is going on. So like this, one day, Lord Chaitanya was haggling with Sridhar over the price of this banana flower. And when Sridhar was trying to grab it back, because Lord Chaitanya didn't want to give the proper price, then Lord Chaitanya said to him that, Sridhar, you're a greatly renounced person, but I think you have a lot of hidden treasure. If you don't let me take these vegetables, I'll tell everyone that you're keeping secret treasure. You don't know who I am. Someday I'll show you. You're worshipping the Ganga, but I am the father of the Ganga. Don't doubt me, I'm speaking the truth. So Sridhar, he blocked his ears and said, Vishnu, Vishnu. He said, what are you saying? You come from a nice Brahmin family? Why are you talking all these things? Sridhar thought that Lord Chaitanya he actually thought he was crazy. He looked at him and said, he looked at him and saw he looks so beautiful, this young Brahmin boy. No. His bodily features are naturally beautiful. He's very nicely decorated with tilak, and he's dressed very nicely. In his household life, Lord Chaitanya used to dress very nicely. Both his eyes and his nature are very flickering. He's decorated with a nice white Brahmin thread. Hare Krishna. He's chewing pan. Pan. And he's stealing my vegetables. So like this, regularly Lord Chaitanya would come to Sridhar and tease him in this way. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya would throw the vegetables on the ground. And then when Sridhar would go to take them, again he would grab them and pick them up. Then Sridhar would say to him that, "Oh Thakur," because he was giving respect to Lord Chaitanya as a Brahmin boy, I'm just like your dog. So please forgive me, I shouldn't fight with you, you're a Brahmin. You just take whatever you want, don't pay any money. Then Lord Chaitanya said, "You're a very smart guy. Yeah, I think you have so much money." Then the Sridhar, I don't need this. Sridhar said, "There are so many other people in the market selling vegetables. Why don't you go to them?" Chaitanya said, "You're my regular supplier. How can I give you up?" So Sridhar said, "All right, I fall at your feet. You defeated me. From now on, I'll just give you vegetables, whatever you want." And then Lord Chaitanya said, "You're not going to give me all your rotten vegetables, are you?" No, I'll give you the best vegetables. So like this, Lord Chaitanya was always making quarrels with him. Sridhar used to think that, even when he's quarreling with me, he does so in such a sweet way. Even though he teases me in so many ways, I don't feel any unhappiness. Yeah, I think someday he'll be a great personality. So I'm very fortunate. He only comes to me. He doesn't go to anyone else. That Vrindavan Das Thakur explains that Lord Chaitanya, he liked to take only the food from his devotees. That even though there's so many other people selling vegetables, he only liked to go to Sridhar because he was his devotee. So Lord Chaitanya, he used to walk around Navadvip with his disciples. So one time he came to the place where Sridhar was staying. So Lord Chaitanya thought, well, I came here now. I can't leave here without playing some tricks on him. So Sridhar gave Lord Chaitanya a place to sit. And Lord Chaitanya said to him that Sridhar, all day you're chanting the name of Hari and you worship Lakshmi Narayana. But you don't have any money and you're living in a very miserable condition. Why? Sridhar said, well, I'm not fasting. I don't eat much, but I eat something. And my cloth isn't so good, but I'm wearing something. So Lord Chaitanya said, yes, I can see you're wearing some cloth, but I can see it's also stitched in 10 places. Can you understand? You have a house, but the roof is full of holes. You see here in Navadvip, there are so many people who worship Durga. They're living very comfortably. So Sridhar said, that's true, but everyone is passing time in different ways. Someone lives in a big expensive mansion like a king, and some living entities are in the body of birds and they live in trees. But in course of time, everyone is equal. Time levels everyone. Everyone is simply receiving the results of their previous activities. Then again, Lord Chaitanya said, I think you have a lot of money hidden. And now I'm going to announce it to everybody. You'll see how long you can cheat everybody. Sridhar said, look, why don't you just go home? I don't want to argue with you. So he said, so Sridhar, you should give me something. Whatever you're going to give it. So how can I come to your home and not take something from you? But Sridhar said, I'm a poor man. I just live by selling vegetables and bananas. So what can I give to you? So Lord Chaitanya said, whatever hidden treasure you have, okay, we'll keep that there. Now you just give me some vegetables and bananas and things like that. Sridhar thought, he's crazy boy. If I try to argue with him, he might even beat me, or I might beat him. So to beat a Brahmin is not good. I shouldn't do that. But on the other hand, I just can't. I'm a poor man. I just can't go on giving him vegetables free every day. But then anyway, by one means or another, he just takes them anyway. So what can I do? So he told Lord Chaitanya, okay, you just take some vegetables. Don't argue with me anymore. So Lord Chaitanya told him, okay, now make sure you give the best. Don't give me any of the bad vegetables. You're giving to a Brahmin, you have to give the best things to a Brahmin. So after this, Lord Chaitanya went out with his disciples and was ready to go. Then again, he turned to Sridhar and said, Sridhar, who do you think I am? He said, well, you're a young Brahmin boy. You're a part and parcel of Lord Vishnu? Lord Chaitanya said, no, you don't know who I am. I'm a cowherd boy. You're always praising the Ganga, but you don't know that the source of the Ganga's glories is me. So Sridhar said, you don't even fear the Ganga. I see in most people, as they get older, they become more steady in their mind. But the older you get, the more crazy you become. Anyway, go home and don't fight with me anymore. So saying this, Lord Chaitanya, laughing and laughing, went off to his home. Another time, this was just after Lord Chaitanya went to Chandkazi and had his whole pastime with him. Then on the way back, as he was chanting with his devotees, he came to Sridhar's house. And Sridhar had a broken iron pot that he used to drink water from. Now, one thing is, a Brahmin would never take water from a person of lower caste. And he also wouldn't take from an iron pot, because iron is considered impure. Lord Chaitanya, seeing that pot, he just grabbed it and drank water from it, breaking all the Vedic rules and regulations. So Sridhar was very upset. He thought, oh, no, it's a great offense for me. But Lord Chaitanya wanted to show that how much he favors his devotees. So Lord Chaitanya, at one point, he showed his whole mood changed. When he came back from Gaya, he was no longer having the pastimes of scholarship, but he was showing himself as a great devotee. And there was in the house of Srivas Thakur, he showed for 21 hours, he showed himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead to his devotees one by one. So one by one he was calling the devotees and showing them his original form. So this was going on, and in the night time, Lord Chaitanya said, call Sridhar. So some of the devotees went to call Sridhar, and they came to his home, and from some distance they could hear this loud shouting, Hari, Narayana, Hari. So when they got to his home from outside, they called Sridhar, Sridhar. But he couldn't hear them because he was calling out so loudly. So they were calling out more and more loud, and eventually Sridhar heard them and came out to see what's going on. In the moonlight he could see the devotees, and he wondered, so late at night, why is someone coming to see me? He asked the devotees, why are you coming so late at night? The devotees told him, don't delay any longer. Lord Chaitanya is calling you. He sent us to get you. So hearing the name of Lord Chaitanya, Sridhar fainted in ecstasy and fell on the ground. So the devotees got him up and carried him to the presence of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya called out, Sridhar, come on, get up. Just see me. See me, I am the Lord who you have worshipped for many, many lifetimes. In this lifetime you have also done so much service to me. I am with great love, I have daily ate the vegetables and bananas that you have given to me, eating from the banana leaves supplied by you. Sridhar, have you forgotten all this? Sridhar, get up, see my divine form. This divine form of mine cannot even be seen by the personified Vedas. So gradually, slowly, Sridhar got up and saw Lord Chaitanya manifesting his transcendental form as Krishna. His body was blackish like the tamal tree, and he had a very attractive flute held to his lips. On his right side was standing Balaram, and his whole body was emanating tremendous transcendental light. The Lakshmis, the gopis, were offering him pan, and all the devotees were praising him in different ways. So when Sridhar saw this, he again fainted and fell on the ground. So Mahaprabhu touched him with his hand, and again he came that, Sridhar, whatever you say, that is praise of me. Whatever you say, because you are my devotee, then whatever you say, that is all transcendental. But on top of that, I'm giving you a blessing that Saraswati will come to your tongue. Saraswati, the goddess of learning. So then Sridhar started offering prayers. Jai Jai Mahaprabhu, Jai Bishamba. All glories to the great Lord. All glories to the maintainer of the universe. Joy, 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 Navadipa Purashandur. All glories to the most beautiful person of Navadvip town. Joy, joy, Ananta Brahmanda Kotinath. All glories to you who are the Lord of unlimited universes. Joy, joy, Shachi Punna Bharti Garbhajat. All glories to you who are born from the womb of the most pious Shachi Devi. Joy, 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 Veda Gopa, joy, Dvijaraj. All glories to you who are hidden from the Vedas. All glories to you who are the king of the Brahmanas. Juge Juge Dharmapala Karinana Shaj. You appear in different ages to protect the principles of religion. So in this way, Sridhar was offering prayers, and he went on for 1.5 hours almost. So then Lord Chaitanya was very satisfied with him and said, Sridhar, now you accept some benediction. Sridhar said that, I don't want any benediction, but if there is any benediction that you want to give me this benediction. That Brahmana who is always stealing and grabbing my vegetables and banana leaves, may that Brahmana be the Lord of my life, birth after birth. That Brahmana who is always quarreling and fighting with me, may his lotus feet be my master. May I surrender at his lotus feet. And saying this, Sridhar started crying loudly in transcendental ecstasy. And all the devotees being affected with his mood also started crying in ecstasy. Lord Chaitanya told Sridhar, Sridhar, birth after birth you are my servant. I have given you many tests. I am very satisfied with your behavior. By your service and your love for me, I am indebted. Hearing these loving words from Lord Chaitanya, all the devotees called out very loudly, Hari! Hari! So, Vrindavan Das comments that this Sridhar, he had no money, no reputation, he wasn't learned, he wasn't recognized by the other devotees of Lord Chaitanya. But anyway, what is the use of all these things? Because these things can simply make one proud. What riches, what valuable things that Sridhar got while selling bananas and roots. Great famous people of this material world could not get even in many, many lifetimes. Now, just at the time Lord Chaitanya was thinking of taking sannyas, he was just about to leave home without telling anybody. So that evening, he had a big Sankirtan all around Navadvip with all the devotees. And he was thinking, after this, all the devotees will go home and I'm leaving home. But just when he came home, he was just sitting in his home, surrounded by the devotees. And at that time, Sridhar came with one kind of vegetable. It's called in English, it's called squash. Lau in Bengali. Lok. So Lord Chaitanya thought, well, my devotee brought something for me and I can't take sannyas without accepting that. So just at the same time, someone brought some milk. They brought a donation of milk. So Lord Chaitanya called his mother and said, make some preparation from this. That there's some preparation. You cook that vegetable with milk and put some sugar. It's make something like halava, something like that. So Mother Shachi cooked that and offered it in their home to Vishnu, and then gave it to Lord Chaitanya to eat. So the last food that Lord Chaitanya took from his mother before taking sannyas was that vegetable offered by Sridhar. And at this time Lord Chaitanya told Sridhar that you should come to my home every day, even though Lord Chaitanya was planning on leaving home. So after taking sannyas, Lord Chaitanya went to Puri, and Sridhar was one of the devotees who used to go every year with the devotees from Bengal to see Lord Chaitanya in Puri. So let us remember all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, and pray for their blessings, that we may also render some service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any question?
Neko pitanje.
I mean, don't ask any questions about the Leelas. That Prabhupada said, Krishna book you read and enjoy. Don't ask any questions. Why does Krishna play a flute? Because he wants to. That's it. He's God, he can do whatever he likes. If he wants to play a flute, he can play a flute. That's up to him. Of course, generally cowherd boys, they have flutes. Even today in India, you'll see, by playing the flute, they call the cows. Krishna also calls the gopis with his flute. So he has his own reason. But anyway, the point is, these Leelas, we will hear them. Everything you can't understand. You can't do psychological tests on Krishna. Sometimes they want to do psychological tests. That, well, you're behaving like this because in your childhood your father beat you, and all these things. But you can't put any psychological analysis on Krishna. You can try if you like, but it's just a waste of time, foolishness. Any question about anything?
In the beginning of the lecture, you said that we cannot read about Lokanath Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita because he gave blessings to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami not to mention his name in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Can you explain what is the reason why we cannot read about Bhugarbha Goswami?
Probably the same thing. Just the name is... Bhugarbha's name comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Just his name is mentioned once. I don't think Lokanath Goswami's name even comes at all.
In
Bhakti Ratnaka his name is mentioned. But even there, not much. Who knows? There's so many years have gone by. Even Prabhupada was here a short time ago, and not everything may be remembered. That Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes that at every moment of every day, Lord Chaitanya performed such amazing pastimes that Ananta, even with millions of mouths, can't come to the end of describing one moment. So some pastimes have been recorded, but everything is not recorded. Any other questions?
Yes,
The question is, what's the question?
The question is a little bit more connected with the morning lecture.
Mm-hmm.
The question is that you said that we should strive to become Uttamadhikaris to achieve the purest love to Krishna, pure love to Krishna. My question is it possible for the person to achieve the highest platform of love of Godhead if his spiritual master is not Uttamadhikari, is not on the topmost level, but he is strictly following principles, rules like that? Of his spiritual master.
Now we're in this sampradaya of pure devotees. You'll see, if you see the list of our Guru Parampara, the names who are mentioned, you'll see there are only a few names. There have been many, many gurus in our sampradaya, and most of them, the names are not even recorded. In the list of the Guru Parampara, only those who have made the most significant contribution in terms of literature and in terms of preaching, their names have been mentioned. And even some of the devotees who are mentioned, they are more prominent than their own guru. So the point is, if someone may not, it's not that every guru is on the level of Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Such devotees are actually very rare in this world. But if someone follows the principles of such great acharyas and teachers, then by the blessings coming down through parampara, everyone can achieve the topmost goal. And if someone is following properly like that, then he's also Uttamadhikari, in the sense that he's also going back to Godhead. If someone strictly follows and preaches throughout his life, then Krishna is not going to reject him. Just like Prabhupada, someone asked Prabhupada about going back to Godhead, and Prabhupada said that we're working, he was asking about the devotees, the disciples, and Prabhupada said that we're all working so hard to send everybody back to Godhead, and we're not going to get left behind. So generally the recommendation is that one should accept only the topmost devotee as a spiritual master. But Prabhupada has also written that if one strictly follows the principles of the topmost devotees, then he can also be a spiritual master. Generally a Brahmin is a guru. He is the spiritual master of all the other castes. Generally a Brahmin, well, there are different types of Brahmins. 3 kinds of Brahmins, according to 3 different kinds of fu. Fu means blowing like this. So Prabhupada said there are three kinds. One is blowing the fire, he's cooking. Someone is blowing the conch, he's a pujari. Another is blowing the mantra in the ear of his disciple. So generally, the Brahmins, they were teachers. They would call the young boys and teach them, not only young boys, but all the other castes. And in this way, all the different Vaishnava sampradayas have spread. Just like we see, for instance, Ramanujacharya was preaching all over India. And he initiated so many people, and they initiated so many people. And in this way, this sampradaya spread all over India. And there are some in the holy places connected with the Sri Sampradaya. There are also acharyas who are sannyasis who are more prominently known. But there are many gurus all over the place. Because people need gurus, they need guidance. And as I was saying, you don't find a Ramanujacharya on every street corner. But by the grace of great acharyas like Prabhupada and Ramanujacharya, they make many spiritually, by their preaching, they make many spiritually advanced people who are fit to lead others. By hearing from whom and following whom, everyone can get the highest benefit. Is that clear, or is there any more question on this point? You said that we have pick up or choose. How can I see? Well, Prabhupada, when he was asked about this, that how can we see that you are bona fide? There are so many people who are speaking on Bhagavad Gita. John Lennon and George Harrison asked him about this. So how can we know that you are the actual teacher? So Prabhupada said you have to see who's always talking about Krishna, whose life is dedicated to Krishna. So if someone is fully dedicated to Krishna, then they're the right person to teach about Krishna. So that you have to see. Shastra recommends that we be careful in the choice of a spiritual master, not to just accept sentimentally. We shouldn't think, well, this one has a very sweet voice, or he smiled at me. So singing sweetly for Krishna is very nice, but that's not necessarily the qualification of a spiritual master. And if a devotee smiles at you, that's also very nice, but that's also not the qualification of a spiritual master. Actually, if he chastises you, that's more. That's more of the duty. People are so weak in the modern age that if you go like this to them, then they crumple. We hear stories of disciples being put through severe tests by spiritual masters in the past. But not many people are prepared for that nowadays, it seems. In the Shastra, they're given the symptoms of bona fide spiritual master. They're also given the symptoms of bona fide disciple. So if we prepare ourselves to be a bona fide disciple, then certainly Krishna will send us a bona fide spiritual master. Even if you get the best spiritual master in the world, you have to surrender and be prepared to follow. Just like so many people say, they want to have darshan of this sadhu. They want to see him. But more important is hearing. So many people saw Srila Prabhupada, but they didn't follow his instructions. But someone who really saw Prabhupada, he followed he may not have physically seen him, but by following the instructions, he got his darshan. Sadhu should be seen through the ear. So it may be even that some people, they were initiated by Prabhupada, but if they're not following now, then their position, it's, of course, whatever devotional service they did is good, but if they're not following now, their position now isn't very good. So you have to learn how to associate with sadhus also by hearing, and then hearing Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aika Arna Kariha Manayasha. Whatever is said, you don't think, well, maybe, okay, I like that, I don't like what he said there, okay, I'll avoid that. No, you have to, whatever is said, you have to be prepared to accept that. Accepting a guru doesn't mean sitting in a sacrifice with swaha. That's not accepting a guru. That is required. That is required. But the real initiation is following the instructions. If you don't follow the instructions, then what's the meaning of the sacrifice and the name change and all these things?
You have said that if the person is sincere, he will get a bona fide spiritual master. My question is, how is it possible that from all these spiritual masters who left the ISKCON, that all these disciples were not sincere?
It may be that they were sincere, but they were very unfortunate. If they remain sincere, then Krishna will help them. It's, like I say, it's not unknown in the history of Vaishnavism, even for gurus to fall down. That's why Prabhupada quotes one verse in his purports. Guru api avaliptasya, that even Guru who is supposed to be guiding others, even such a person, it's possible they may become fallen from their position. Karya karya majanata utpanna patipannasya parityago vidhiyate. Someone they were instructing very nicely, but somehow or other they became deviated from that position. Or even if they're following the regulated principles still, but they're not instructing properly, they're teaching a deviant philosophy, or someone is incompetent to instruct properly, then he should be given up. This instruction is there, quoted from Mahabharata in Prabhupada's books, in connection with Bali Maharaj rejecting his guru. And Prabhupada quotes that Jiva Goswami has commented on this verse, that that person should be given up for the sake of accepting a bona fide guru. So I'm just saying you should be very careful, actually. This has happened in our society. It's the most horrible thing. I can't imagine anything more horrible. But it has happened. We can't deny it has happened in several cases. Just after Srila Prabhupada left this world, some wrong philosophy was propagated and it caused so much chaos in our movement. That was called the zonal acharya system. That because you're in a certain zone, you have to take initiation from a certain person. And there was some imitation of Srila Prabhupada's exalted position due to immaturity or the influence of Kali Yuga or whatever. Devotees, they dared to imitate Srila Prabhupada. Maybe because they didn't know any other guru, they thought, well, this is how we have to behave as guru, even though they didn't have the qualification. Not that they can't be a guru, but at the same time they shouldn't imitate Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is unique, his position is unique. He was the very powerful devotee sent by Lord Chaitanya to establish Krishna consciousness in the world. So everything he says is as good as Shastra, or better than Shastra. And everything he has instituted, that is exactly 100% perfect for the world. But if someone thinks, well, Prabhupada's a guru, I'm also a guru, so Prabhupada changed a few things, so I'll change a few things, then that's very dangerous. Because Prabhupada was empowered by Krishna to make the adjustments necessary to bring Krishna consciousness in a completely different cultural setting. But that is not to be imitated, that is to be followed. And one who properly follows that is qualified to teach others, in other words, to be a guru. But in the years just following Prabhupada's departure from this world, there was a chaotic condition. As Srila Prabhupada writes in one of his purports, when the spiritual master leaves, there is chaos. So there were many bad things which we were fortunate to be saved from. At the same time, Krishna consciousness, the preaching was going on, books were being distributed, but some impurities entered. And by Krishna's grace, those gross impurities, have gone out of our movement, a gross manifestation of those impurities. But we have to be careful also, because always Maya is trying to come in and spoil everything in this movement. That's why Srila Prabhupada said the GBC, they should be like the watchdogs of this movement, watching that no bad things can come in. So you have to be very careful to exactly follow Srila Prabhupada, not to compromise anything. And then everything will be alright, everything will be wonderful. But if we start to change things a little bit this way, a little bit that way, then we'll end up with something which is different to what Prabhupada taught us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we'll finish there for tonight. Is everyone going to get up for Mangalarti tomorrow morning? Everyone's enthusiastic. Jai Hare Krishna.
Jai.